What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are having a great day as always. So we haven't made a ton of progress on the Grand Cherokee recently. I had to go pick up some welding gas for the welder and get all the parts in and everything. So this video is just going to serve as a little update on where we are with the axle swap. I did start to mess with the front axle, cleaned a lot of it up, started to weld on the truss, figuring out the gussets. The gussets just arrived, figuring out what I'm going to do axle shaft wise, all the knuckles and everything. So this video is just going to be an update of where we're at with the axle swap. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright guys, so the axle does look a little bit different from the last time you saw it. It hasn't really had a ton done to it. A lot of the parts are just set on here. I did start to weld on this piece of the truss after I cleaned everything up. Got this piece set on there, fit right. Had to trim a little bit. But for the most part, we're just working on cleaning it up. I had to cut this bracket off to make room for the raised track bar mount that we got from Artec. Already welded up the inside. I am by no means a good welder. This is honestly my biggest project I've ever done, so I'm just trying to get the hang of it, figure it out. So I'm learning as I go. So any tips on welding, feel free to comment them down below. But once we cut that off, we're going to have to mount this or weld on this raised track bar mount right about here. And then I'll have to trim the piece of the truss that goes behind it to make clearance for that bracket itself. That way I can run the right track bar, since this is a JK axle we're putting under a WJ. For now, I also got the gussets in. These fit really well. This is a common weak point of the D30s. So I got these to beef that up a little bit. I do have to get a ball joint press to press out the joints. I got the uppers and lowers. I can't put it on right now just because of the jack stand. But once I get the top welded on, I'll flip it over and do the bottom. Got them for both sides. I'm not going to move the coil buckets in. I'm going to run coil retainers. It's only an inch, or it's about like half an inch difference. So it's not going to be the end of the world if I do run coil retainers. So that's my plan there. Now, with the knuckles and all the other stuff that I pulled out of the axle when I stripped it down for the build, the knuckles are actually drilled out for heim joint steering that I ran on my JK probably a year and a half ago, but I wasn't really a big fan of it, especially for daily driving. So I'm going to junk these knuckles, and I'm going to pick up probably some Terraflex high steer knuckles or some Reed Racing knuckles. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to get a new dust shield. That one's all bent up and destroyed. All of this stuff worked when I pulled it off, the wheel assemblies, axle shafts, everything like that. There was no problems with it, but it's just old. The axles are from 2008, so it's definitely time for a refresh. So I'm going to get all new everything. Probably go with chromoly shafts or just new stock shafts. Haven't decided there. New wheel assemblies, obviously, and just refresh everything while we're at it. Also, with the hardware, I ordered all new hardware for this because let's see if the camera will focus on this. Doesn't really seem like it's going to. But basically, all the hardware is just super old, rusted. Don't really feel like putting this into a freshly cleaned axle. The bolts are super cheap. They're like $6 a piece. So I'm just going to order all new bolts and everything for this. Refresh all the joints. Get all that set up. Like I said, have to press out the ball joints. I'm going to get a new ball joint set up. I'll probably also run Terraflex ball joints on this because that's what I have on my Wrangler. And I have had no problems with them. I love them. Let's go over to the back axle so I can show you guys where we're at with that. So we haven't actually messed with this one too much. As you guys can see, I need new brakes front and rear. These have been sitting in my yard for probably 4 or 5 months at this point. They were also real grooved up when I took them off. So I'm going to get new brakes front and rear. Haven't decided on brakes yet. I'm going to need to get new yokes for both of the axles to run Adams drive shafts in that same drive shafts I have in the Wrangler. Besides that, I'm going to have to cut off all the brackets. I'm going to have to figure out something with the rear track bar bracket. I probably won't need anything like that because it'll be a 4-link in the rear. But we have to weld up a bracket on here so that way we have somewhere to mount the 4-link brackets on top of the diff on the back. Totally different suspension design than the Wrangler had, so we have to change all that up. So this drive shaft right here is actually an Adams drive shaft. It's out of my Wrangler right now while we're repairing it. But this is the style that we're going for on the Grand Cherokee. Way better for off-road, way more reliable, less maintenance to get it running, get it set up right. Honestly, best drive shafts I've ever ran. If you guys want to check them out, I'll link them down below at Adams Drive Shafts. But that's just an update at where we're at with the Grand Cherokee. I do have to sand down all of the surface rust on the front of it, since I did sand that way too early since it got cold and I can't spray the Raptor liner right now. I'm going to sand that and just spray some cheap primer on it, and I'll sand it back off in the spring. So I hope this video caught you guys up on where we're at with the build. I also am doing the tank tuck right now. Have to weld the skid plate back together to get it set back up in there correctly, figure all that out. I'm kind of just taking my time with this because I'm not very good at welding. I'm learning as I go. So if you guys have any tips on welding, make sure you guys comment them below. And as always, guys, thanks for watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next one.